Hey guys, this is Miss Ghazali, and um, today we'll be covering loops. So this is my first time using this screencast thing. I hope that this works out for us a little bit better than the notes I posted on Google Classroom. But anyways, let's get started. So I would recommend that as I'm doing this, you follow along or you try out these loops later. So maybe pay attention and then later on try out the loops on your own. So let's get started. I'm gonna create a new file and I'm gonna call it whileloops.py. Save that. Or you could just call it loops because we'll be talking about while loops and for loops as well. Okay. So I'm gonna get started by defining what a loop is, and by now you guys should know what a loop is. But basically, a while loop a loop. So a loop allows us to execute code over and over again based on some condition. Okay, and for a while loop in Python, what you need are the following. The while keyword, a condition, that evaluates to true or false, and you need to indent the next line of code. Okay, so that's it for the notes. So let's try our first loop together. So let's just write a loop that prints hello a few times. So let's create a variable called count and set it equal to 0. Okay, and then we're gonna create our loop. So while count is less than 5, so this is count less than 5 is our condition. So while count is less than 5, and then just like with a conditional, you need to put a colon at the end of that. So while count is less than 5, we're going to print hello world. Okay, now if I run this, we're going to have an issue, so I'll show you. If I run this, notice what happens here. It keeps going and going and going, and I have to force it to stop by clicking the stop button. So the problem with this is that we have this counter variable. That's what this is called. This is called a counter variable. Oops, that's Java. Counter variable. And what happens is the count is equal to 0. So while count is less than 5, so right now count is 0. And so 0 is always less than 5. So this is going to keep printing hello world because it's going to check this condition. If this condition is true, it's going to print hello world. Then it's going to go back. It's a loop, so it's going to keep going back. So in order to fix that, we need to update our count variable by doing something to it. So in this case, I'm just going to add 1 each time. So now if I run this program, it's going to print hello world 5 times because it's going to print it for count equals 0, count equals 1, count equals 2, count equals 3, and count equals 4. So after 4, once count reaches 5, it'll go back, check this condition, and realize that this condition is false, so it'll come out of the loop. Okay, so this is a very basic loop that just prints hello world 5 times. Okay, and you can get really creative, so let me comment this out. You can get really creative by using user input. in your loop. So let's do something like this. Let's create this variable called name and set it equal to some blank string. Okay, so name is some blank string right now. And then you could do something like this. While name is not equal to your name, while name is not equal to your name, we're going to do this. Name equals input. Please type your name. Okay. So this is interesting. So let's take a look at what this is doing. So name is getting set equal to some blank string, and then the condition is checking if name is not equal to the actual words your name. And then if this is true, meaning if the variable name doesn't contain the words your name, it's going to actually keep asking for again. So I would say try out these. It was also in the notes that hopefully you guys read. And so what the break statement does is it actually breaks out of a loop. It forces you to get out of a loop. So we could say forces the program to get out of a loop. Okay, let me comment this out. And I could probably post these notes somewhere. We'll see how this goes, just trying it out. Okay, and so what you can do, something similar to the loop we just did, but in a different way, we could do something like this. We could do a while true. Now, while true, this is just a way to get a loop started. Okay, so if you don't feel like putting a condition here after the while, you can always use while true, and this will get your loop started. And so this is a quick way to get a loop started. Over here up top, we actually had a condition to get our loop started. But here, this loop will start no matter what because true is always true, so the condition is true, so the loop will start. And then we can ask for their name. What? Please type your name. Okay, so this is similar to the annoying loop, but just a little bit different. And what you can do is actually you can put a conditional inside the loop, so a nested conditional inside the loop. So we could do something like this. If name equals your name, we can use the break here. Okay? And then on the outside, we'll do print thank you. And so this is going to do exactly what our annoying while loop did. So this is just another version. So this is basically an annoying while loop version 2.0, let's say. Okay, and then what happens is if I run this, let's just make sure it's doing the same thing. So please type your name. Okay, John. Nope. Mary. Nope, it's going to keep asking me to type my name. If I type your name, it's going to say thank you. So what happens is this conditional with the break forces you to come out of this while true loop. Because if you think about it, while true is always, one second. While true is always going to be true. So this is going to run no matter what. So you need a way to come out of this while true loop. And what we can do is we can use the break keyword to help us out. Okay, let me see what other loops I want to try. Okay, so let's comment this out. Okay. Okay, and then I'm gonna show you now the continue keyword. So continue keyword, and the continue keyword, what that does is it causes the program to jump back. So the continue keyword causes the program to jump back to the beginning of the program. Okay, so let's try a loop here. So while true, again, remember this is gonna get your loop started. Name equals input, who are you, let's say. Who are you? Okay. So we're gonna get some input from the user. Now let's do our conditional. If name, and let's say we're looking for someone named John. Okay, I don't know why that's my go-to, but I always use John. So if their name is not John, you're gonna say continue. Now keep in mind that continue has a little bit of a different meaning than in English. In English, continue just means keep going, but in Python, the continue keyword means jump back to the beginning of the program, or loop, I guess we could say. So what this is going to do is it's going to force the program to go back to the beginning of the loop, and it's going to ask us again, who are you? Okay, so let's say we keep going with our code, and let's do this. Password equals input. Hello, John. What is your password? Okay. Let me zoom out. This is a little bit too big. Okay. So now we could do this. So they're putting in their password. If password equals, let's say we're looking for I love CS. Okay. Then we're gonna break out of the whole loop completely. And then we're gonna print access granted. Okay, so let's see what happens. Let me run it and then I'll explain. So who are you? So if I say someone other than John, so let's say Joe, it's gonna go back and ask me who are you, and the reason for that is because of this. So if my name is not John, it says here to continue. Again, continue doesn't mean go to the next line. Continue in Python means go back to the beginning of the loop. So it's going to go back to the beginning and it's going to ask me again, who are you? So essentially it's looking for my name to be John. So once I put John, it's going to actually ironically continue with my program. So you just have to remember that continue, the Python continue means go back to the program. It's not the same as the regular English continue. So who are you, John? Okay, it says, hello, John, what is your password? So let's see what happens if I enter a password that's incorrect. So remember, we're looking for I love CS as our password. So if I say I hate CS, let's see what happens. It actually goes back to my loop, to the beginning of my loop. And why is that? Well, that's because this was not true, so it's not going to break, and this is a loop, so it's going to go back to the beginning. So the only way to really get out of this loop is to have a name of if our name was John, and if the password was I love CS, in which case it breaks out and prints access granted. Okay, so that's my summary for while loops. Now, I decided to do this because I wasn't sure if anybody was going to read the notes I sent. They're a little bit hard to get through, so I'm hoping that these videos will help you out. So I also got some feedback saying that the video I posted, the YouTube video, was helpful, but the notes were not so helpful. So let's see how this goes. You know, comment and let me know if this was helpful. And I do think that you shouldn't just watch these videos. I think you should try out the loops on your own, because like I said, we are going to have assignments where you will have to code some loops on your own. So I highly recommend you try these out. All right? Okay, I'll see you next time.